When I was a kid, I was wondering kind of what's the meaning of life? Like, why are we here? What's it all about? And I came to the conclusion that what really matters is trying to understand the right questions.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, everybody. You and I today, we are going to be taking a look at an open letter that's been making some waves. It's addressed to two people you wouldn't typically see kind of lumped together. Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
Yeah, it is a peculiar pairing for sure. And the letter itself, the content, it's even more interesting. I mean, it's essentially a plea for help from this guy named Peter Nikolov. He's the founder of umodel.org, an organization that focuses on ethical leadership, and governance.
Gotcha.
And get this, the country he's asking for help with.
Bulgaria.
Okay, not maybe the first place that comes to mind when you think of global power plays or anything like that. But Nikolov seems to be pretty convinced that Trump and Musk, they have the influence, the power to actually change things there.
Yeah, he certainly believes that. He really lays it on thick, like appealing to their, shared kind of dislike for all the regulations and their love for innovation.
Oh, interesting. He even goes so far as to frame this whole supporting Bulgaria thing, like as championing genuine, humane, and liberal causes.
Wow.
Trying to align it with values both of them, have said they support.
It seems like he's really tailoring his language to try to hit all the right buttons, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely.
But is it genuine, you think? Or is it just some sort of calculated tactic to get their attention?
It's tough to say for sure, but the psychology of it is really fascinating. It's playing on this whole idea that, hey, if you can make someone think they're the hero in this story,
right,
they're going to be more likely to go along with what you want.
Makes sense.
And who wouldn't want to be seen as the savior of, a struggling nation?
Right. I mean, that's a good point.
Okay.
So beyond just the flattery, though, Nikolov does get pretty specific of what he's actually asking for. Mm-hmm. He straight up says the U.S. needs to stop supporting governments that stifle entrepreneurship and free markets. Mm-hmm. And he specifically calls out Bulgaria.
Yeah, he doesn't hold back. He really paints a bleak picture too. He claims that Bulgaria has all this talent, all this potential, but it's being choked by corruption and bureaucratic, red tape. Mm-hmm. He even goes so far as to call the entire administrative system over there neo-fascist.
Wow.
Arguing that it just favors all the corrupt entities and punishes anyone who tries to operate ethically.
Strong words.
Very strong.
Does he back that up, though?
Oh, he does. He highlights specific laws and these administrative practices that he says are designed to cripple businesses, all to benefit the folks in power. Mm. He's arguing that this is actually what's driving a brain drain, like forcing talented Bulgarians to leave and find opportunities somewhere else.
It's a powerful image for sure. This, a whole country held back by its own government. Mm-hmm. And it seems like he's trying to tap into Trump and Musk's, anti-establishment views with this.
Yeah, definitely.
So what, is he suggesting they go lead some sort of economic revolution in Bulgaria?
Not quite. While he is critical of the overall system, he also points to certain people within Bulgaria who he believes can really make a difference. He wants Trump and Musk to connect with this guy, Akad Denkov, and another guy, Mr. Kirill Petkov. They're from the We Continue the Change party.
Okay, We Continue the Change.
Yeah.
So is he saying they're Bulgaria's Trump and Musk? They're reformers that'll shake things up?
I mean, that seems to be the implication. He highlights their shared educational background. They both, have American university degrees.
Oh, interesting.
And he focuses on their commitment to digitalization, to tech. Mm-hmm. It's like he's saying, look, they're just like you, but they need your help to succeed.
It's a bold move, I'll give him that. Trying to create this camaraderie between, a former U.S. president, a tech mogul, mm-hmm. and two Bulgarian politicians that most people probably, have never even heard of.
Yeah, but that's what's so clever about it, He's connecting all these seemingly random people and weaving together this narrative where it seems like their interests align.
Right.
Even if it does sound a little far-fetched.
True. So, okay, he's appealed to their egos. He's laid out the problems. He's even suggested, some potential allies they could work with in Bulgaria. So what's next? Does he just, leave it there?
Well, not quite. Nikolov then goes on to introduce his own organizations, umodel.org and U-score.info. He claims they can actually solve Bulgaria's problems.
Okay, now this is where things start getting interesting. So he's pitching these platforms as tools for promoting transparency and ethical governance. but how do they actually work? What makes them so special?
Well, from what I understand, umodel.org is all about promoting this ethical leadership. Like they have all these principles and guidelines.
Okay.
And U-score.info, that's a platform. It's for assessing, ranking governments, organizations based on how well they follow those principles.
So it's like a rating system for ethics.
Yeah, basically.
Can you explain that a bit more? Like, how do you even measure something like ethics?
Right. That's a really interesting part. They've developed this thing called a U-score. And it tries to quantify ethical behavior. It looks at transparency, accountability, following the rule of law, all that. They even have this non-conformance report register, so people can report violations and then they get investigated.
It's almost like he's trying to gamify good governance.
Yeah.
Turn it into something you can measure and compare.
Yeah, kind of.
But isn't that, I don't know, oversimplifying things a bit? Like, can you really boil down something as complex as ethics to a simple score?
Well, that's a good question. And it's something that a lot of folks in the ethics and governance field, they debate that all the time. Some critics argue that reducing these complex issues to just numbers, it can be misleading.
Right.
You might miss the nuances of what's actually happening.
Yeah, that makes sense. But Nikolov seems pretty convinced that these tools, they can be a game changer for Bulgaria. He's even saying they could be a model for other countries dealing with corruption.
Yeah, it's a pretty ambitious vision. And it probably appeals to someone like Musk,
Yeah.
He's all about data and tech solutions.
So he's basically saying, here's the problem and here's the tech solution.
Pretty much. It's definitely tailored for a specific audience.
Right. And we can't forget about the letter's emphasis on those principles. The no envy, no theft, no lie.
Oh yeah, those.
The U model's guiding principles.
Right.
It's like a moral code almost.
Yeah, it's easy to understand, could apply anywhere.
Catchy for sure. Plays into that whole desire for simple answers to these complicated problems. But then, beyond just Bulgaria, Nikolov throws in this whole other thing, artificial intelligence.
Yes, the AI angle. He's definitely trying to get Musk's attention with that. And maybe even Trump, Trump seems fascinated by all the new technologies.
True.
So Nikolov, he talks about all the good AI can do, but then he warns about what happens if it falls into the wrong hands.
So it's like he's offering this amazing future, but also this like dystopian warning.
Exactly. He's playing on both the hopes and the fears, and he connects it all back to Bulgaria, saying that if a corrupt government like Bulgaria's, if they get control of powerful AI, it could be really bad, not just for Bulgaria, but for everyone.
It's a smart way to raise the stakes, make this, seem like a global issue instead of just something happening in Bulgaria.
He's connecting those dots between ethical governance, tech progress, and even the future of humanity.
Wow. It's almost like he's saying, this isn't just about Bulgaria, it's about, the principles that make up a free society, a society that can innovate.
Exactly. And he's suggesting that Trump and Musk, they have this moral obligation to step in to make sure those principles win out.
So he's saying that if they support ethical leadership in Bulgaria, it could prevent some kind of AI catastrophe.
I mean, he doesn't say it outright, but it's definitely there, between the lines.
Right.
He wants to create this sense of urgency, like if they don't act, there will be consequences.
It's a powerful way to tell the story, even if it does rely on some pretty big assumptions. But that seems to be Nikolov's style. Throw out these big ideas, these grand visions, and see what sticks.
Yeah, and to be fair to him, that's how a lot of big changes happen. Someone has to be bold enough to put the vision out there,
right,
to inspire people to get moving. Whether this letter will actually do that, well, we'll have to see.
Okay, so we've covered Nikolov's critique of the government in Bulgaria, his ideas for fixing it, and how he's linked it all to, AI and the risks if it's misused. What's your overall take? Do you think this letter will actually work? Do you think it'll achieve what he wants it to?
It's tough to say, really. I mean, on the one hand, it feels like a long shot. Like, what are the chances that Trump or Musk are going to just change everything they're doing because of, an open letter?
Right. It's not like they're known for being easily swayed by public opinion or anything. But do you think it's really about getting them to act directly?
Well, that's where it gets a bit more complicated. isn't a private message. It's an open letter.
Right.
It's meant to be read by everybody, shared around. It's supposed to get people talking, maybe even shift public opinion.
So he's basically using their fame, Trump and Musk's fame, to spread his message. It's almost like a publicity stunt to get people to pay attention to Bulgaria.
Exactly, yeah. By aiming at these big names, he's ensuring that the media will cover it, that people will talk about it. I mean, we're talking about it right now.
That's true, yeah.
So in that sense, it's working. Whether you like it or not, the letters sparked a conversation. It's raised awareness about the stuff happening in Bulgaria. And it's brought this whole idea of ethical governance to the forefront.
He's really tapped into that thing we all have, that fascination with, powerful people and how they can change things.
Yeah.
And whether Trump or Musk even respond, the letter's already done something.
Yeah.
It started a debate.
That's what I find most interesting about this whole thing, Nikolov, whether he meant to or not, he's created something much bigger than just a letter. He's got people discussing, what's the role of global leaders? How important is it to act ethically? What happens if we just do nothing?
Makes you wonder if other people might try this to tackle tough issues. Could we see more of these carefully crafted open letters to powerful people? Could that become a new kind of activism?
It's definitely possible, especially these days when information spreads so quickly, grabbing people's attention is everything. This kind of strategic communication, it could become the norm.
It brings up some pretty interesting questions about power and how much influence people really have, especially in this digital age. Who can actually change things? Is it governments, big organizations, or just individuals with huge platforms?
Those are questions we'll probably be asking ourselves for a long time as tech keeps changing, as the way we communicate keeps evolving. And Nikolov's letter, whether he meant it this way or not, it's forcing us to think about that.
So we're at the end of our deep dive into this pretty fascinating letter, but we want to leave you with something to think about. If you were Trump or Musk, how would you respond? Would you think it's a real call to action, just a publicity stunt, or something else entirely?
There's no easy answer, but it's a good question to ask ourselves as we try to make sense of this world, It's getting more complex and more connected every day.
Absolutely. Well, hey, thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everybody. We'll see you next time.